Welcome to week 1 and week 2 of Garden Buddy Builds a House. Today we're talking foundation and, well, poop, or what goes into a house before the framing starts. So, after demolishing our old house, winter came early and we couldn't break ground for several weeks. It was cold, and we had to wait for more concrete blankets to arrive to keep the foundation warm. Christmas came and went, it kept on snowing at our property, and we could not believe it, but on January 3rd, we finally broke ground. It was an awesome way to start off the new year, but it was bonkers we could start it all because the weather was barely above freezing. When we got to our job site, the very cold-hardy crew, I might add, had already excavated and set footings for the foundation. Here we are looking at the corner of the garage. Moving across, there's our future mudroom, office. Then the great room, which is the living, dining, and kitchen. Over there, looks like they're working on the leach field for a new septic system. The footprint was taking shape, and this was the first time we could actually visualize the size of our house, which, I'll be honest with you, was a little jarring because the house kind of felt small without all the walls up. The crew was working hard and working fast to pour the concrete, and then laid thick blankets over the footings to keep the concrete from freezing. At the same time, another crew was digging out our new drain field for the septic tank and leach lines. Long trenches were made to bury the drain pipes that went from the house to the leach field. We have a gravelless system, so our drain pipes are wrapped in these funny-looking foam pieces with netting over them to filter waste. So these things right here are kind of like styrofoam, but long snakes or tubes of styrofoam, and that is what they're putting in our leach field. We also put in, probably my husband's favorite feature of the house so far, our own RV dump tied into the septic. Hey, if you know, you know. It looked like our whole yard had been blown up and there were giant mounds of mud everywhere. But when we came back a few days later, the drain field was all smoothed out, the blankets were gone, and the concrete truck was there again, pouring a slab for the crawl space. Around here, they call this a rat slab. It's a thin layer of concrete that covers the entire floor and keeps rats, termites, and other pests from making a home in your crawl space. If you've ever been inside a crawl space, you know how dusty, dirty, and kind of creepy and scary it can be. Most people don't really give much thought to this space since it's below ground. But if you're building a new house, it is worth every penny to put in. A rat slab makes you feel like you're in a clean, dry basement, so you end up with fewer problems down there down the line. The next day, the crew came back to build forms for the stem walls. They poured more concrete, let that set, and then removed the forms. We could finally start to see where all the rooms were. Hey, there's the family room, there's the pantry and the kitchen, and there's the guest room.
Don't fall in the fireplace, Gemma.
You can see a bunch of anchor bolts sticking out of the concrete here. Well, that's how sill plates are anchored into the stem walls. First, they lay a strip of white foam on top as sort of a gasket. Then they drill holes into pieces of pressure-treated wood and thread them onto the bolts. It doesn't look like much, but these wood pieces, the sill plates, are probably the most important element of the structural framing. These are the first pieces of wood in the entire house, and the sill plates are what the first floor frame is anchored to. And that takes us to the next stage next week, building out the first floor of our house. Stay tuned for week 3.